Hi, I'm Mike, owner of the In-Groove in Phoenix, Arizona. So there's a new company out called Supersense, and they're essentially doing a new kind of concept to the vinyl industry, although this isn't actually vinyl. They are doing a series called Mastercuts. Mastercuts are essentially where they're taking the original master tape and they are making lacquers. Okay, for those of you who don't know what a lacquer is, a lacquer, let me grab one here, is the starting point of a vinyl record, okay? There's actually two lacquers here shoved in this envelope. I'll have to fix that. This is a lacquer. Looks just like a record. Big difference is a lacquer is an aluminum disc, a really highly polished aluminum disc, and it is coated in lacquer. The beginning process of making a record is taking a blank lacquer, putting it on a lathe, and a lathe cuts a playable groove into the disc. That is then plated and turned into a father. A father then makes a mother. The mother makes stampers, and the stamper is used to make your record. So a record is actually multiple generations down from the quality of a lacquer. That is kind of the principle with the Mobile Fidelity One Step, is they are actually making the stamper directly from the lacquer, eliminating two generations, eliminating the need for the mother and the father. So one of the selling points of the Mobile Fidelity One Step process. Lacquers have an unbelievably amazing sound. You put a lacquer on for the first time, you play it, it's as closest to the master tape as you're possibly going to get. Super quiet, smooth, it's where it's at. The problem is lacquers aren't made to be listened to. Lacquers are made for two purposes. One is making a disc, and two is making a quick reference cut for the artist. In this case, with this particular lacquer I just showed you, but even this one, I've got lacquers all over the place at my house, come in collections. This is actually a lacquer from the George Benson collection. This is a lacquer for, let's do it again, from 1988. This was cut at the Lab. So this would have been sent to George's management, whoever made the final decisions. Okay, this is kind of what we're thinking. You know, this is kind of what they would have said. Warner Brothers would have sent it, said this is kind of what we're thinking. What do you think of this mix? How does this sound to you? Artists will then take it, listen to it a couple of times, provide feedback. They'll either recut the lacquer with the artist's intended updates, or if the artist approves, creative director, whoever's in charge, approves, they will actually go back using pretty much those same settings and cut another lacquer, then send that off to make a father, mother, stamper, and then a test pressing. That test pressing is then sent to the artist and said, you know, okay, this is what we got. We go into production with this. The artist will then okay it once again, and the consumer will receive the exact same thing as a test press because they're made from the same metalwork. Lacquers are not a listening medium. You are buying an aluminum disc with a very soft lacquer coating. Lacquers diminish in sound quality after the first couple of plays. They get noisier, chunks of lacquer starts falling off. I mean, they deteriorate rapidly, extremely quick. It makes a cassette tape look like a digital file that's backed up 17 ways to Sunday. They deteriorate rapidly. They're not a listening medium. Not only that, if you never play the disc, I get collections all the time in the store with lacquers in them from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. Think of it like a paint job on a car. You can put a car in a garage for 50 years, but that doesn't mean the paint comes out looking like it did in day one. Lacquers on their very own deteriorate. They chip, they spiderweb. The lacquer on the surface becomes brittle. I've seen countless lacquers come through the store where the lacquer is crusted and kind of flakes off. You know, you go like this, you'll blow the lacquer directly off the aluminum disc. This is not a way of preserving music. A lacquer is not it. So essentially what we have now is this company who is selling lacquers from the original master tape, and they're going all out. I mean, they're including Polaroids, there's foil lettering, pressing valve. I mean, there's all kinds of gobbledygook that goes along with it. Handmade box, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? You are buying a medium that will self-destruct on you. This is the equivalent of paying big-time money for the, the little cassette recorder at the beginning of Mission Impossible. You're going to listen to it a couple times and this thing is going to implode on you. This is going to self-destruct. This is not a viable medium. I just don't understand what is going on with people paying exorbitant amounts of money. People are paying the same money for this as reel-to-reel, these tape dub copies from companies like the Tape Project and Analog Productions. These are true reference material. Copies of the original master tape preserved in their original recorded format. The same thing that's essentially in the Capitol Vault archives or in the archives of whatever the label is. That's a true audiophile listening apparatus. A lacquer is not. So I'm not really sure. I look at this and somebody sent this to me and I'm reading this and I'm like, you just gotta be kidding me. And what's interesting about this, okay, is the retail price is gonna be $450 US, but they're selling them starting at $600 or $650 for number one. And they get progressively cheaper until you get into whatever, number 26 on. And then they go into a standardized pricing of $450. I mean, this is not even like ERC. This is not even the equivalent of a manufacturer collectible, because at least ERC you're getting, although I'm not a fan of the company, I don't care for the product. It's wildly overpriced. Many of the titles they've done, I think, have been bested or many times over. The quality of shipping, the quality, I've gone on about this incessantly in many other videos. Check my ERC videos. ERC, for you guys who don't know, they're a company that specializes in super limited vinyl runs, 300 copies typically or under, and they charge about the equivalent of $450 US. But at least you're getting a disc. You're getting a vinyl disc, something that can be played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. That's not going to self-destruct and implode on you. But yeah, and they're doing it in kind of a configuration to where they're essentially taking the master tape and then they are using 6 lathes so they can simultaneously, one pass of the master tape gets them 6 acetates, which they refer to as Mastercuts. So they've announced 4 titles. The 2 big ones are John Coltrane's Love Supreme and Gets Gilberto. The John Coltrane Love Supreme, they're using the original master tape. That might sound good, but the original master tape of Love Supreme is not in good shape. It has many issues, and it has not been used in years. The Analog Productions, the new Verve acoustic sound series, all of the recent reissues of this, probably including even maybe the Speaker's Corner, these guys are all using a UK safety tape. Apparently after Rudy Van Gelder cut the album, on the fly, he made a safety. He sent that over to the United Kingdom, which was used to make their vinyl over there. But there it sat pretty much untouched for 50 years, and it is in exceptional shape. At one point in time, Universal acquired all these tapes again. Rudy Van Gelder went and listened to it, and even Van Gelder deemed the UK tape the most superior version of that album that exists. And that's what's been used ever since. Don't let anybody fool you that the master tape is not always the best source. Some master tapes, Bridge Over Troubled Water comes to mind. Some master tapes have been used incessantly because of albums that were very popular, just got cut over and over and over and over again, and or the tape was never taken that good of care of to begin with. Different tape formulations, different things deteriorate tape. It's not a perfect medium, but it's a whole lot better than a lacquered disc is. So, yeah, the Premier Cuts, which are 1 to 99, those cost more, but they're shipping sooner. They're shipping as soon as the end of this month, November 2021. USA edition is number 1 through 500. This isn't company based in Austria, so I'm guessing they'll probably do maybe, who knows, another 500 copies for the rest of the world. I don't know. I guess if you're just, I could understand this with a band like the Beatles, because there's certain people that want to collect every single thing that the Fab Four ever did. Beatles toilet paper, Beatles tents, Beatles figurines, Beatle fake wigs. I've seen that. I've never seen that with John Coltrane. I'm not really sure they're essentially going after the completist who has to have every single John Coltrane piece of everything ever. That's typically not your target market for something like this. It's really like they're going after audiophiles. But I think to myself, is this something that could have been done 5 or 10 years ago? Would have there been a market for this? I just don't think so. I think with the amount of people that are new into vinyl now and the way that this is pitched on their website, you really think you're getting, you're going to be in for the most sonic spectacular thing of your life, and you might be. Although, again, the tape is not in that good a shape. Many people have talked to me who've listened to it, listened to the UK tape. It is not in the best shape. So, I mean, just guys, be extremely careful out there when you're dropping down $450 to $600 on something that you might think to yourself, I'm going to have the most definitive version of John Coltrane's Love Supreme, cut directly from the master tape onto this soft piece of lacquer for my listening pleasure. Granted, it's $450, but I'm going to be able to listen to this for the rest of my life. No, you're not. You're wrong. You're going to get a couple of good listens. Then you're going to be sitting with a deteriorating median on your shelf, and you're going to be a sad panda as the years go by and your $450 to $600 investment turned into a wall hanger, because that's essentially what you are going to have. So I just wanted to talk about this because when I first got this text message from a buddy, I laughed. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I thought it was actually a joke at first. Sometimes I'll see people send me text messages and it's like Steven Seagal's last album in the format header of a one step. I chuckle. It's funny. It's like, the most obscure random album ever as a one step. Ha ha ha, it's funny. It's like a meme at this point. I kind of thought of this as a meme when I first read it. I'm like, yeah, there's no way. But sure enough, here we are. Be careful with your money, guys. $450 will get you a relatively nice copy of an original Love Supreme, a true collectible, a true piece of art, history. $450 will get you pretty much any other version of a Love Supreme you could possibly want. The 45 RPM cut by Analog Productions, the now in print 33 RPM Verve Series title for $35. That's a no-brainer. That's the one to get. For $35, it's all analog. It's in print. It's using the superior master tape. Many versions that have come since. There's a lot of great audiophile versions of Love Supreme that are been done over the last 40, 50 years. So $450, a lot of money. Be careful, guys. Until next time.